Hello and welcome to another edition of DNA Recap. I am Death and beside me is...
I am Izzy Fate Weaver. How are you today, Death?
I am awesome. How
Great.
are you?
I'm doing good. Let's go ahead and get this started. So last time on DNA, the show kicked off with Ramna coming out to talk about the events of last week, the Dark Watches interfering in his match, and how he wouldn't take it anymore, explaining that in his contract he could bring in anyone of his choosing into UHW as backup. He then called out the Dark Watches to come and meet the person he had chosen. Kieran and Maxie came out and argued with Ramna, not noticing who had snuck up behind them, none other than founding member of UHW and renowned loudmouth, Kurt Bombastic. Yes, the Irresistible One has returned to UHW.
Now, for our first match, for the first match, one we saw it was a newcomer who came to UHW, Sefu Targ. Sorry if I say your name wrong. Takes on the survivor Timothy Knight. After the match started pretty evenly with both competitors exchanging strikes and throws. Timothy was the first to create an opening when he countered a fireman's carry with a DDT, followed by a rolling thunder to set up for a pin, but only to get a 1 count. He continued on attacking, sending Sefu into the corner, only to be countered with a missile dropkick from Sefu, who now took control of the series of heavy strikes, following with a crossbody and a pin to also only get a 1 count for himself. Timothy retook control, sending Sefu back into the corner to receive a barrage of kicks and aerial attacks. Only his second climb to the high-risk district, he was countered by a stunner from Sefu, immediately seizing the moment and setting up for a pin with an inverted atomic pinplex for only a 2 count. Sefu would send Timothy to the outside with an irigurgi, but would be countered with a mid-air, then trying to follow up with an inverted double knee. As soon as Sefu could make it back to his feet, Timothy would connect with a double knee of his own, giving him the chance to send Sefu back into the ring. But when Timothy tried to re-enter the ring himself with a moonsault, Sefu was ready for him and moved out of the way. Then assaulting Timothy with a barrage series of kicks, setting his opponent up for an Arabian Vertex and a 3 count.
Now, match 2 pitched the light versus the darkness as intervention member Trisha Stratus Easterwood took on the blue-haired witch Arcana. Not wanting to wait for the bell, Arcana would slide out of the ring and attack Trisha as she made her entrance. Once Trisha had recovered enough to make it into the ring, the witch would continue her assault, whipping her to the ropes for a vicious spear, but to her surprise, when trying the same again, Trisha would return with a shoulder block, taking Arcana down. However, Arcana would retake control quickly with the display of powerful moves before catching Trisha in a bear hug, forcing the air out of Trisha's lungs. After several moments trapped in the vice grip, Trisha would find an escape with a bell clap to her adversary's head and follow up with a hard knockdown shoulder block. Spotting an opportunity, the wily veteran would slide out of the ring and goad Trisha into making a mistake. Trisha would attempt a moonsault, but landing on the hard floor as Arcana stepped out of the way and slid back into the ring, taunting her opponent as she writhed in pain on the arena floor. Seconds away from being counted out, Tricia would find the strength to get back into the ring only to be greeted with hard stomps from Arcana. Arcana would then drag the prone Tricia to the center of the ring and in her arrogance try a cocky pin only to get a one count and a surprise roll-up from Tricia. A count of 3 later, and Tricia had won this battle.
Yay, good Tricia. I like her. So, before we can move on to the next match, an angry Kevin Foster would come down to the ring, stating that Kieran struck him with a chair last week was a huge mistake, and that Kieran would regret it for a long time to come. The Hellhound would also put the rest of the locker room on notice that no one was safe. So, after he went back with his awesome flaming skull, match 3 would be the finals for the Women's Championship Tournament. The winner would go on to face the current champion, Anarchy. The finalists, Izzy, Fate Weaver, and Rosalind started out quick and evenly, with Izzy using her strength advantage while Rosa relied on her speed. Izzy would take an early lead by hitting a rebound DDT, following up with a flapjack to get a 2 count. The pair would exchange strikes, holding and throwing until Rosa would score with a raindrop for a count of 2. Rosa would try to continue on the offensive, only for Izzy to catch her out with a leg sweep, allowing her to use a lady breaker with a camel clutch, refusing to submit to the painful hold. Rosa would find a way to mount the offensive, taking back the momentum, using many of her signature moves. Just when Rosa looked like to be having the match all sewn up, the unhinged Fate Weaver would hit a massive corn kick set up for her skull throne finisher to win the match, and claim a #1 contender spot.
Now, as decreed by Elias Swiftwind earlier in the night, our main event would put Ramna Yoshiro up against Vince Easterwood for the International Honor Crown Championship. Elias had also made it clear that if the Dark Watches interfered in this match, that they would both be fired. The match would start out quite technical, with both men vying for control, which would be taken by Ramna, when the one-man wrecking crew would score a carbon footprint, followed by a barrage of heavy-hitting moves. Vince would come back with a sweep, several holds, but Ramna would counter Vince's neckbreaker with a big discus clothesline and an impressive gorilla press slam. As Ramna would try to pick up Vince, Vince would roll him up for a 2 count. Vince would continue on the offensive with quick kicks leading to the rededication. This, however, would not keep the big man down, as he would get up and score a clothesline for a 1 count pin. Ramna would continue on the attack with a series of heavy strikes and moves before superplexing Vince from the top rope to pick up a 2 count. Vince, catching a second win, would ground Ramna, hit a front flip leg drop to catch a 2 count of his own. Ramna would return the favor with a spine buster and another 2 count. Vince would then hit a series of moves before locking in Bear the Cross for a 3 count and to retain the IHC title.
Wow, so we had a pretty big eventful show last week, didn't we?
Oh, yes.
So I guess the questions become, who will become women's champions when it comes to the Fate Weaver? What will Kurt have in store for everyone? Will he do another 20-minute promo? And what is going on with Maxine and Kieran? And what do they have up their sleeves? And also, who will the Hellhound go after first? who will be his victim. Find out the answers to these questions and more. Also find out if Nick is going to wear orange. And the next episode of DNA Back to You commentary.
Actually,
Death.
no, it's Havoc.
Havoc. Sorry. I just love DNA. I'm on DNA. Hi, people.
Yeah.
So I am Beth, and beside me is a very lovely Izzy.
Izzy Fate Weaver.
Yes. So back to your commentary team.